Did anyone order a cleric with a side of sass? If so, I'm Dahlia Ablon. Wow, how do I keep this short and sweet? I grew up in the poor sector of New Averant and took care of Papa after my mother died when I was 6. Papa was not well after she passed, so I bounced around waitressing and spent any of my free time at the Temple of Cocobio since he helped me feel close to my mama. But it was hard making ends meet as a barmaid, so after some encouragement from my best friend Silic, I enlisted as a cleric in the Order of the Fallen Star. Next thing I know, I'm across the realm with a team of strangers that have quickly become my family. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Ready for things to take a sharp left? Okay, let's see. Turns out Cocobio, the goddess of moon and stars, is not the most virtuous angel that we thought, and well, neither is New Averant. After defecting from the church and the government, I learned that Gladlin, the god of fate, is only a slightly less destructive hot mess. And now we're on god number 3, Halasna, goddess of sun and life. As Horai now travels the world as adventurers for hire. So far, so good there. I would totally hate if something bad were to happen to her. Oh wait, there's more. How could I forget? Turns out my mother descends from a long line of devil royalty, and not just any royalty, the Deimos clan, aka the Lord of the Shadowfell. My lineage gives me this devil form I can transform into, a natural foresight gift, or curse if you ask me, and a boatload full of family drama. I discovered I have a half-brother named Silic. Yeah, that's Silic. My mother at some point has been resurrected from the dead, and oh yeah, Deimos wants to use me as a conduit for his armies to infiltrate and conquer the Averant realm. Almost forgot to mention that part, it kinda haunts my dreams a lot. But it's not all doom and gloom in my world, promise. No, really, I have wonderful friends, hilarious and fun adventures, and I may have just met the love of my life amidst it all. Jodakash is the only person I've ever met to stand right in the face of danger and swing his sword without a second thought. With as much fire and brimstone looming over our heads, I couldn't imagine living in a world without him and our friends by my side, and keeping me sane. So whatever New Averant, the gods, Deimos, or fate seem to have planned for all of us, I know that Horai will be ready to face it together. Because if we go down, we won't go down without a fight. We got this, right? Right?
Every group has its dark and mysterious member, and to Horiath, that would be me. I am Gajurakash Dromic, son of Zarmir and Nelian. I grew up in a small village within the elven kingdom of Nelithir, known as Irobada. When my father left my mother, sister, and I when I was 15, and never returned, I aided my mother in running her apothecary. 3 years later, I would join my sister Medicona in serving the royal guard, becoming a personal bodyguard for Prince Juvenile Galakia. Just 2 years into my service, though, rumors of our forbidden romance would reach the king, and the following morning, after a fight with his son, the king was found dead in his room. Blame was placed on me, and with my mother's plea, I escaped the main kingdom. I spent the next 6 months running from guards before finally catching a ship off the continent. The pirate captain of the Phantom Chevron, Joff Potra, took me under his wing for the next 4.5 years. Well, until the failed raid by the crew left me behind in the kingdom of Abris, and I was captured by guards. Desperate to save my own life, I offered any information I had on the kingdom of Nelithir, eventually capturing the attention of the Council of Nine. The tiefling Severus Toll had me released, and spent the following 2 years training me to be his personal spy. The next year, they shipped me off to join the Order of the Fallen Star, the army of New Averant. Here I would go by Gaiji Redfoe, and meet my team, now known as Horiath. It was only mere days into us being a group that we were sent out on various missions to destroy plagued villages, fight awoken gods in caves, and meet on our former commander, Silic Losren, and teammates Apollo and Ren. I would become a warlock of Losna during this time. An attack on our base gave us a promotion into the freelancer program, and gave us a ship, which we now call the Homeward Bound. I am the captain. We were sent to Solgaria, the Nalkadai. New Averant betrayed us there, and we fled to the Order of the Soaring Flame. There, Commander Vierithril asked us to clear a way to an Eltharian base on Okadai. However, in our month-and-a-half mission to do so, we came across one of the sons of Bahamut, Anima. After kidnapping Zephinia, he sent her, Dira, Ren, and companion Treya 10 years into the future. Apollo, now Hades, Dahlia and I spent 10 years surviving so we could return to save our friends in Al-Qadai. Though we've recently lost Ram to their own missions, rescued Dira's parents, fought Dahlia's devilish grandfather, and I've proposed to my love, Dahlia. It's time for me to return to Nelithia and set things right. Only time will tell if I'm successful.
As the story of Arachnagai once said, who am I? You sure you want to know? The story of my life is not for the faint of heart. If somebody told you it was a happy tale, if somebody said I was just your average guy, not a care in the world, somebody lied. My name is Apollo. Abandoned by my mother at the Silverleaf Institute. As a baby, I grew up never knowing her or my father. I grew up living and learning all that I could from the school. Everyone was great. Well, not everyone. Well, really only a few people were nice. The Institute housed the wealthiest of children, mostly. The ones that could afford prodigious education, at least. Because I was an orphan that the school took in, I was seen as an outcast. And even worse, due to my abnormal tiefling appearance with wings and tail, I was seen as a freak. I spent most of my days with my head down and my nose in a good book. Books are wonderful. They show you amazing worlds and lead you on amazing adventures. Oh, just like my one favorite story, Shriek, where he goes on an adventure with his reluctant friend Mule and Shortbread Guy. Sorry, I got a bit carried away. Things went well until one day a lad in my studies picked a fight with me. It was then that I discovered I had magical aptitude and at the same moment lost control of it. A fireball erupted from me and exploded in an area around me. Due to my tiefling heritage, I was only slightly hurt, but the boy who started it all wasn't so lucky. The boy's family wanted me expelled from the Institute, but Professor Durnick fought to have me stay. The tribunal agreed to allow it, but he was to watch over me and make sure I never used my magic again. He agreed to do so, but in secret trained me to control my powers. It was mildly successful, but I still lose control from time to time. Years passed, and one day I overheard the tale of a woman who was kidnapped and taken to a cave. I felt this was my time to finally become the hero I always read about. Little did I know I would get lost inside cave. But I would meet my found family. We've had so many adventures since, and things have been great. Well, that is until half of them disappeared. Pulled through time, and I was unable to stop the magic, and it broke me. And that's when I came to take the lead. Nice to meet you, finally. I'm Hades, Apollo's other half. See, Apollo is very innocent and has a hard time dealing with extreme stress. During a few majorly stressful moments in his life, I've taken over to get him through those situations. That first came to be during the whole business with the bully and the fireball. At least that was the earliest memory. I lived deep in his consciousness, seeing and hearing all until I'm needed. His friends being split and sent into the future 10 years was just the needed push for me to take the reins again. The only problem is, for the next 10 years, I stayed in control and couldn't talk to him. So for the last 10 years, I've been running around having a grand adventure with Dahlia and Gaiju, who become like siblings to me. Stories we could tell. I could write a book. Anyways, I eventually reconnected with our friends and have been traveling since. Oh, and Apollo has started talking again, taking control for short periods of time. Perhaps he'll take back over soon, and I'll go back to the dark corner of his brain that I usually stay. Which is good, right?
I'm Dara Mullane from Currants Gap. My family's been the town blacksmith's time out of mind, so that's what I learned, and what I thought I'd always do. My little brother Aiden, though, he was different. Don't even know where he got half the books he read, and nobody ever really understood what he was on about. Some folks got more patience for that than others, and some don't have nothing better to do but make trouble. Fenton Antery was one of those. His daddy owned the mine. He figured that meant he owed the rest of us, too. One night, Fenton had been wasting time and his daddy's money in the tavern. Took some kind of personal offense from Aiden just being Aiden. My brother was on the ground when I got there, and, well, it's kind of a blur after that till they dragged me off. I'm told Fenton ain't never been the same since. With what passed for justice in the mountains back then, that was more than enough to get me clapped in irons and shipped off to some other mine. It was 12 years before the new Aberrant soldiers came and told us the mine bosses weren't going to be a problem anymore. Whatever we were in for, You would be forgiven, and we'd be free right then and there if we joined up. Seemed like an easy choice, to be part of the folks aiming to bring peace and justice. And for a while, it made sense. I even heard my brother got to go off to some fancy school to learn magic. I swore my oath to Kokobiel, angel of the moon and stars. Only it turns out she ain't what she's supposed to be, and neither is New Averant. It's all complicated. And my team, right? Well, they're mostly all smarter than me, but even I could tell when there wasn't no choice but to leave. So we did. And here we are. What happens next? Well, that's anybody's guess.
I never put much stock in families. My own sold me off to the black market to make money off the child with wings. I was nothing but a skinny street kid with broken wings from trying to escape. That is, until the Order of the Fallen Star Soldiers rescued me. My heroes in blue. I aspired to be like them and one day meet the big three: Soma, Geneva, and Aegis. My life turned around and I worked hard night and day to hone my skills and be the best soldier I could. I usually worked on my own until I was paired up with the most peculiar group of people. We were sent on some quests, our base was attacked, and I died. But don't worry, Dahlia brought me back. I think I could actually consider her my first true friend. Gaiju and Dira also quickly wormed their way into my guarded heart as our adventures continued. My world turned a little upside down at that point as we encountered creatures and were hounded by the gods. I'm starting to think my little group is a god magnet, and I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. Anyways, one of these gods, Luna, decided that I would be a good stand-in for her and transferred her powers over to me. I met her sisters, which seem like major bitches, and I keep getting asked if I would choose peace or war, and quite frankly, I'm tired of it. And I would rather continue being the best soldier I can, which turned out to be not that great. My friend may have accidentally transformed into a slightly terrifying demon, which forced us to defect. But one of the big three, Soma, also defected, and it turns out so did his brother. So maybe my past heroes were not all they cracked up to be. I wish I could say things went well from there, but somehow myself, Dira, and Treya were transported 10 years in the future, while Gaiju, Dahlia, and our new friend Apollo were left behind. For us, no time had passed, but the rest of Horiath was stuck living in the past 10 years searching for us. We finally found each other just as Geneva, another of the big three, found us and was not very friendly. A few murders later, and we were free of her wrath. Soma found us again, and I'm glad he did. He's not as bad as Dahlia makes him seem. In fact, I think he's pretty sweet, and not too bad looking. Oh, and he gave me a gorgeous locket before leaving again. I guess I'm able to talk to him through it, which is nice. Anyways, Horiath ventured to the Shadowfell to save Apollo, who's now Hades, from Dahlia and Silik's evil grandfather. I was again hounded with that peace or war question. Obviously, peace is not an answer in our line of work as trouble keeps finding us. I think war might be our only option to protect my team, who has taught me what a family should be. Honestly, I can't even imagine my life without them. I've gone through a few changes recently. I couldn't tell at first, but the team seemed pretty concerned. I don't know why, since it's just a little hair and makeup change. Well, maybe my eyes changed a bit as well, but it's not that noticeable. At least Soma seems to like it.
Did anyone order a cleric with a sight of sass? If so, I'm Dahlia Ablon. Wow, how do I keep this short and sweet? I grew up in the poor sector of New Averant and took care of Papa after my mother died when I was 6. Papa was not well after she passed, so I bounced around waitressing and spent any of my free time at the Temple of Kokobiel since he helped me feel close to my mama. But it was hard making ends meet as a barmaid, so after some encouragement from my best friend Silik, I enlisted as a cleric in the Order of the Fallen Star. Next thing I know, I'm across the realm with a team of strangers that have quickly become my family. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Ready for things to take a sharp left? Okay, let's see. Turns out Kokobiel, the goddess of moon and stars, is not the most virtuous angel that we thought, and well, neither is New Averant. After defecting from the church and the government, I learned that Gladlin, the god of fate, is only a slightly less destructive hot mess. And now we're on god number 3, Halasna, goddess of sun and life. As Horiath now travels the world as adventurers for hire. So far, so good there. I would totally hate if something bad were to happen to her. Oh wait, there's more. How could I forget? Turns out my mother descends from a long line of devil royalty, and not just any royalty, the Deimos clan, aka the Lord of the Shadowfell. My lineage gives me this devil form I can transform into, a natural foresight gift, or curse if you ask me, and a boatload full of family drama.
Let's see, let's get the right one. Okay, we're gonna just rotate people. Hello everyone, making sure audio is working. I'm just gonna rotate a few things just to make sure we're all set. Because everybody's kind of in the wrong spot here.
I'm the DM.
No, a scrolling circle is DM.
I'm the voice behind the scrolling circle as the DM.
So tell us, Swirling DM, what happens? Do we win?
You win!
Yeah!
Everybody lives! We're all happy!
Too late. You already moved back to your right spot.
Yep, you already moved. Too late.
Oh.
Done.
Ah.
All right.
Damn.
Damn it, Bobby. All right. So welcome back to the Playbook. Back to Blades Bahamut. Going right into it. Last the team left off, battle ensued. You were able to officially defeat Univeska's Sarah, but were pursued by another version of Luna, Cocopial Allmother, in a attempt to save all of you. Gaju made the ultimate heroic moment and decided to hold off Allmother on his own and borrowing path. While you all had to deal with this emotionally, you also had to make sure that you saved as many lives as possible, grabbing carriages, horses, summoning steeds, and getting as many people safe as possible. Heading back out, you're able to notice that most of the side Nelithir is in shambles. Even though fires are gone, smoke remains, and there are more dead bodies than living. Making your way back over into the main town that Gaju originally called home, you find that most of the errant soldiers have departed, leaving only bodies in their wake. As the civilians that you brought back try to check out their homes, businesses, help each other out, or just decide to kick rocks in the process, group separates. Some of the family decides, uh-oh, lost someone.
You're a no.
I think she said she had to restart Discord and chat.
Okay.
Oh.
More of.
Here, we've already
Damn it,
lost one
Discord!
person. We can't lose you too! Get back here! See?
Don't make
Me
this
crying
sadder than
again.
it needs to be.
See if
I
it
don't know.
works out right away.
Oh, I guess I'm hella staticky.
You are?
You don't sound it to me.
Yeah, it sounds fine
Oh
to
no?
me.
Maybe on stream?
No, it should be.
Yeah, on stream.
because they should be hearing what I'm hearing. I don't know, say something.
You
Does
sound.
it sound any better?
Talk about your.
Oh, you do sound staticky.
You don't want me to talk about my day?
What the hell? You do sound staticky.
Yes!
Oh, Tay, I'm gonna try and refresh while we're waiting for Dira.
Okay.
Fingers crossed, guys.
All right. So, oh, okay. We're gonna go.
Dropping like flies, man.
Yeah. We'll be right back. We're gonna go into a quick early break to see if we can fix these technical difficulties. Don't go far.
get her and try reinstalling it and see what happens.
Yeah, and maybe
In the meantime,
right now. I mean, but yeah. Okay, so you what was it? You head back into town with the group itself separated. The parents decide to head in, totally unknowing of what happened to Gaju. With some people having to let them know of what has transpired. During the same time, a lot of you are taking into account what happened to the town. With it, some people try to move rubble out of the way as they will find some bodies that are injured but still alive underneath a mostly broken down structure. And they will find Soma currently unconscious within the structure, but they're able to pull out at least a decent amount of injured but living bodies. That's pretty much where we left off. So, go ahead.
Dahlia, I need your help right now.
she's jumping right on that.
She doesn't answer.
Doesn't answer. That's rude as fuck. All right.
I turn around and look, and I see that she's not answering, and I ask Zarmir to sit on the box, hold the reins. He doesn't really need to do anything. Obsidian will stay there, but I don't want to explain that, so hold the reins, and I run over to Zephinia.
You gotta help him. It's not working. It's not working. And I'm gonna keep trying to do.
What's not working?
Healing. He's not healing.
Okay, I see this happening. Can I tell anything about it?
You could give me a medicine check, give me a Arcana check. It's up to you.
We'll try a medicine.
Okay.
And it will be a 5.
Okay. His body is damaged, but it doesn't look like so much that he should not be waking up. There is breath, very slight, but for some reason unknown to you, he's not opening up his eyes.
All right, I am going to use Harness Divine Power to get back a 3rd level spell.
Okay.
And I am going to cast Remove Curse.
Okay.
I'm just gonna hope she did something that's keeping it from healing. Maybe this will help.
Okay.
Please, whoever's out there, let this help.
Okay. Okay.
And then,
just want to double check something. This most likely will work. I just want to check something.
has all curses affecting one creature or object.
Yep. Okay. All right. So slowly but surely, after you do this, he starts kind of open up his eyes, but in a way as if he hasn't seen sunlight in like years. Like his eyes are just taking a long time to regenerate. And but he's starting to wake up.
All right, and as he does that, I'm going to pump in 25 points light on hand
Okay.
to see if I can get this speeding up a little bit. Soma, can you hear us?
Ugh. Lower down on the volume. It's. Oh.
Sorry. I'm talking that loud. Can it is where he is? Look, does it look stable, or do we need to get him out of here?
You need to get him out. He's still underneath the structure.
I'm gonna call. Folks, somebody help us move all this. And
few.
Careful, right there.
A few civilians come over by and start like a couple of them kind of like grab his legs. A couple of them grab the body.
Easy.
Slowly start gently dragging him out, but none of them actually pick him up. As you're able to pull him out, and then a few people that were holding up the structure eventually just let it go as it finally collapses.
Is everybody all right?
I think we're all good. We got a few people with some broken bones, but all in all, they seem to be well and good.
All right. I am. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna burn another harness divine power, get back a 3rd level slot, and I am going to cast roll the direction, please. Cast Aura of Vitality.
Okay.
So for the next minute, I can each round heal somebody 2d6 as they
Okay.
come into my
Gotcha.
field. So let's see what they're going to get, and just kind of move people through as quick as I can. And that's going to be 7 to each.
Got it. Okay. As you're able to mend some wounds, start fixing up some of the more vital areas that people are injured by, including Soma's more vital wounds, you're able to at least lessen many people's pain. To at least get them to move in case you need to go somewhere else.
You all right? Now you're safe. Can't promise it. Can't promise it. You're safe, but you got some place you can go. I'm just kind of asking everybody, trying to, as I talk and make sure that they all kind of are have a place to, have a plan, that they're not just kind of wandering aimlessly.
Most of them, like about 20, decide to start heading off. They listen to you. Some of them, like the younger ones, thank you. But they start heading off, whether they are in shock or they are just so committed that this has been their family area for generations that they will not leave under most circumstances, as some of them start walking to what is left of their heritage. Some of them stay by you, still unsure of what's going on. Some of them decide to run out sporadically, leaving the town, just trying to get away from this nonsense. With the only amount of really like 5, they decide to say, yeah, probably with them is going to be the smartest bet for at least right now.
Yeah, well, you got a place you can hide if they come back. I understand not wanting to leave. I understand home, but find yourselves a place to hide if they come back.
Yeah.
All right?
Some of them don't even look, but one of them just kind of comes by and responds, kind of speaking up for the group. We'll do as we've always done. And if we fall in the process, we at least fall in our homes. We thank you for all that you've all done and whatever loss you might have had during this process. But we will stay here, and if they come back, then they come back. But we will not be torn from our homes again. Just starts walking off.
I just stand there and nod, because I can't argue with that.
Sure.
All right, look back over to where Zephinia and Somar.
Okay. Soma's
Go
still...
back over there.
Soma's almost looks like he's extremely fatigued. He's having a hard time moving. But he's pretty healed. His
Right.
body's doing most of the work at this point since he can naturally regenerate himself. But it almost looks like he has like expended everything. He's fully exhausted. He's all out of spell slots. He's at, negative everything. Like, it's just the ultimate strain on the body that he is currently experiencing right now.
I'm gonna help him back to the carriage and kind of make sure he's okay. And while I do that, I'm gonna go get some headphones and see if that helps with echoing.
Okay.
I will be right back.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Dolly is like completely disassociated.
Where is
So
where
she didn't answer.
where is Dolly right now?
She's sitting in the back of the carriage with a blanket, huddled in a blanket, and she's just 1,000-yard stare with tears down her face.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Hades is probably at this point now, with us getting out, getting situated. He's talked to Gaiju's family. There's probably a half-destroyed wall somewhere that he is just sitting against the ground, or sitting against it on the ground, just kind of sitting there.
I'd say after like 10 minutes of time, Gaju's folks come out with not even like really like a fancy bag. Like they just found some kind of satchel, a couple of them, and just throwing clothes in there and whatever they had. You can see that they got a couple large rolls of parchment. One of them large enough that you can easily assume it's the artwork that was put up on the wall. So they start coming up to the carriages, don't even say anything as they just walk into one of the carriages, assumingly that they think that they can go with you. They seem to just plop themselves down and they just curl up into each other.
Are we ready? We should catch up to Ran. Is there anything else to do here?
We should just go find Ren.
All right. Let's gather everybody up into the carriage. Anybody resisting that process? All right.
Cool. All right. Do you take all the carriages, or do you leave some of the carriages for the people who are staying behind?
No, just take what we need to carry us.
Okay. All right.
I mean, if we fit in one, I'm fine with one.
Yeah, you
but
guys
we probably won't.
I mean, the carriages are quite large. They were housing like 30 people when they were being taken there. Even though they were crammed in there, that was still 30 people tight. So you guys would be able to fit in there with your group.
Yeah, we don't need more than that.
Yeah,
these people can have whatever they can get.
These are like royal carriages. Yeah, they've seen some damage. They've seen some work. They've been used for taking down hidden dungeons and cells. But they are almost kind of like more busload versions of carriages than the regular style.
Yeah, no, we're leaving them whatever materials, whatever horses. I mean, I don't need to take any of the other horses. Obsidian can draw it unless there needs to be a pair or something.
Okay.
Or a team.
Sure. All right. Fair enough.
If it needs to be a team, then he can follow us.
Okay. All right. So you're all off in the carriage. We will
headed toward where we think the ship is.
Yep. And Ren, you already headed off in advance, right?
I went to the woods to get the sword, and I had gotten it already, and then I was just taking off toward the ship.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I have Bird like up in the air looking for it overhead.
All right. With Bird, give me a perception check.
That's a 19 for Bird.
19. You notice that there is no breaking point of where death has occurred. It looks like whether or not it started in this town, it's still extended to many of the other towns. It wasn't just allocated to this one. Death, smoke, fire, it is all over in the Sentinelith here. But Bird does eventually find the ship. It's currently kind of both on land and water. It looks like it tried to make port landing, but it didn't fully get into the water, so a little bit of it is still kind of like leaning up against like land. But it looks like there's a lot of dead bodies around, and unless Bird decides to get really, really low, it can't really tell if they are allies that have fallen or are they fully dead. But there are currently Bird sees no movement around the ship.
Yeah, if the Bird doesn't see anything, it will dive closer to investigate the bodies as Ren approaches. Ren will get off the horse because they move pretty fast on their own, and just quickly rein it around a tree, and then is going to stealth into the area behind Bird and have a, listen for the Bird to give it to give them instructions on if they find anything.
Okay, so go ahead and give me a stealth check. For you.
Bird is also going to be stealthing, so
Okay.
I'll do for both of us.
Okay, sounds good.
I got a 33. Bird did not do as well as me. Bird got a, I guess it'd just be Dex. So a 6, but I mean, they're a crow and they eat dead stuff, so I don't really think it has to be that stealthy.
Do you still have Bird ahead of you, or is Bird moving like parallel to you?
Ahead, far, like probably 200 or more, well, 150 feet ahead of me because that's the edge of our connection.
All right. As you start stealthing in, you start to notice that the ship itself has not taken as much damage as maybe some of you have, worried about. It does look like it does need some repairs before it takes flight again. And currently right now, like I said, it's a little bit tilted against. It looks like there might be damage that's maybe could make it sink, so they currently have it like kind of anchored on the land a little bit. It's going to need more investigation to try to figure out the details of what happened. But you're seeing a lot of bodies all over the place. Most of them are Nelitharian and Aberrant. You do see a couple bodies of what you assumed were crewmates of Homeward Bound, but no one that looks familiar to you. Eventually, you do notice...
I myself am not going to move much further because I don't want to move away from the sword. So I'm just kind of like hunkering down within eye shot. Like I want to have the horse in my eye line, and then I'm just like popping in and out of Bird, like 30 seconds in Bird, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds in Bird, just so I can like kind of patrol.
Okay. After looking back and forth, as Bird starts getting closer to the ship, all of a sudden you lose disconnection.
Okay. Does it feel like it got dispelled?
Yeah. A few seconds later, you just hear a familiar voice. God damn it. Ren, are you out there? Is this your fucking bird?
Is it Silic?
Yeah, it's Silic.
I'll send I'll cast message to Silic and say, tell the whole forest, why don't you?
You just start seeing familiar blue tiefling start popping his head out as he starts walking out with a few of the crewmates.
Yeah, I'm going to grab the horse by the reins and lead it forward.
As you can assume, they were kind of hunkered into the ship, using it as a barricade.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're alive, then, to start.
This is... Yeah, alive, but... The fuck are you doing here?
It's a long story. You'll hear the rest of it soon enough, but my posture kind of sinks a little bit as I start to feel a little bit more comfortable in this base, knowing that I don't need to be as much on alert, and I'll meet his gaze after a second and just say, Gajura Akash is dead.
Fuck off. No, he's not.
He's the only reason the rest of us are alive. He saved us from the All-Mother.
Just looks back at the crew. As some of them don't believe it, some of them don't also know who you are. Like, who is this person? Tell us, as the crew kind of changed since last time we were there. And you do recognize Arthur, though, as he just does look kind of like confused in more ways than one as far as the situation of where to go from here. As you just see him Arthur just kind of go in a possessed walk back into the ship. Into the shadows of where the ship is right now. Silic just looks back at you as he immediately runs into you in anger and just puts his hand on your shoulder. What about the rest? Is Dahlia fine?
Like, shoulder off of him a little bit. Still not super comfortable with people touching me in general. She's on her way. I would say that she's not fine. All things considered. Everyone is a bit worse for wear and in shock. Something happened down there. They were summoning them together. All of the parts of her. And I think worse things are on the horizon for Hadiath. Soon. How long before the ship can be in the air?
I don't know. Many of the people that were good at repairing this thing either ran off or died in combat. The only person who would be good at knowing that is Arthur. I wouldn't bother him right now with the current information. All I know is that the ship itself is seaworthy at the bare minimum. I don't know if that's permanent or just a temporary, escape to another port. I know that we can't fly until we get some new fabric for the whatever you call the thing that brings us up in the air. A lot of the magic of the ship is diminished, but I'm pretty sure we can at least treat it like a normal vessel. Look, are you staying here? You're not just passing through, you're coming to the ship, right?
I will not be leaving. Not anymore.
He just immediately kind of wipes some blood off his face as he immediately runs back. As you see him talking to somebody else in the shadows. Stay here, I'm gonna be right back. As he gives a kiss to somebody and he immediately transforms and he's gonna run at high speed back towards where he came.
I just go onto our little group chat in my brain and just say, I think Silik's on the way. And then I'm immediately going to start. I'll bring the horse in closer to the ship. I look at, are there crew members nearby who look like they have authority in any way besides Silik?
Most of them have their own position on there, but none of them seem to have any kind of authority that was granted them. You assume the only one that necessarily has anything that would be that kind of role on here would be Arthur, but you do... I'm trying to think of when you left. Do you know who Silik and Dahlia's mom is? Were you there for that?
No.
Okay. You do know, so yeah, you can't tell, other than it just seems like Arthur's the only one that might have some authority over their ship, as a lot of people look confused as Arthur kind of spirit, as they were kind of like, some of them go up to him to kind of ask questions as he just doesn't answer and he just kind of goes to the helm of the ship.
I will just point at the nearest person who looks physically capable, and I will just say, you, this horse, its cargo, no one touches it. Punishable by death, literally. Keep your eyes on it. I'm going to check for enemies. And I'm going to strafe out into the surrounding area, just making sure we're clear, and I'm going to send Bird straight up because I'm trying to spot if there's any enemy ships. And that's what I will do for a bit until I hear anyone.
Alright, so again, give me a perception check for Bird.
Cool, nat 20 for Bird.
Okay, so what is Bird's vision? How far is Bird's vision?
Oh, let me look. 'Cause I don't know. It doesn't say. They don't have a distance.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say we're gonna go off of normal animal distance. So as far as you can tell, Bird does not see any threat in the area. There are some what looks like either sinking or sunken ships, as you see some masts that are sticking out of the water and some of them falling in, but there's no people on them. It looks like either Homeward Bound had some help, or they did a very good job of patting down and taking out anybody who came across their path. You do see dead bodies, and they look definitely from distance to natural 20 that they are dead. If there was anybody here, they left. If they come back, that is not a perception, that'd be more kind of intelligence, but the as far as right now, no immediate threat.
No ships on the horizon no spots on the horizon or anything that bird sees?
No, nothing in the air, no movement of any kind, whether land or air or sea.
I'm just gonna say to myself more than anything, I thought he said there was an armada. Where did they go? And I'll just continue. I'm just kind of checking the perimeter because I want to make sure that we're in a safe area, and that if we have some things to do before we can sail, that
sure.
I want us to have a defensible or hidden position. And then I'll just kind of, when I'm done with that, I'll drag like a crate or something over to the horse, and I will not leave it until the rest of the team shows up.
Okay. I'd say also in a natural 20, the next town over and the town after that, Aberdeen and Carthus, you can definitely tell that the damage has also gone that far as well.
There's fires burning in the distance and things like that.
Yeah. I'd say with the natural 20, you can tell that probably they're moving north as they're attacking places, as it looks like Aberdeen is smoke, but Carthus is fire.
So, like the whole Aberrant army seems like they're like cutting a swath from sea to land.
Pretty much.
So I would probably be able to conjecture that we should sail the opposite way.
Probably. Yeah, probably a smart move. Yeah. Okay. So, due to distance...
I'll just have Bird.
Okay.
I'll just have Bird, like, fly. I'm going to put my hand on, like, the reins of the horse, or, like, the barding of the horse that the sword's in, but not touch the sword directly, and I'm going to leave my hand on it while I'm watching, and I'll be warged out into the bird, but I just want to be able to feel if anything changes around me, so my hand is not going to leave.
So you're making sure you're holding on to the container-ish you had for the sword, and you're not letting go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This is anything to a threat to you, but I just need you to give me an insight check.
You got it. 16.
16. At first, maybe you think it's like looking through Bird's vision, as you're constantly switching between yours and the Bird's vision. And then randomly, like as you're switching, like changing through different kind of like lenses on a magnifying glass, you almost at first think that you're seeing through Bird's vision, but you're actually seeing something else. And it seems almost kind of like odd, as it's almost like the same scenery as what you're in. There's still water, still daytime. But the first thing that makes it known that it's different is that when you go through this vision, there's no smoke. No bodies on the ground. But it looks like relatively the same area. Not exact, but, flat land, trees, etc. With a quick look and glance, as it only gives it to you for a few seconds, you're able to peer into something in the sword that shows two bodies on the ground. An elf and a human, as they're both holding the blade together. And then you immediately get pulled out.
Just narrow my eyes and just mumble under my breath, I don't give a fuck what you are, you weren't worth him. Hopefully you're worth something. And then I'll just keep my watch.
Okay. Alright. Back to the group. As there is a decent amount of time, as this carriage is not meant to go fast, you're going through essentially like the countryside, heading from the area back over to where the ship is supposed to be and meet up with Ren and the rest of the team. During this process, as you are being notified that Silic is coming in your direction, you assume there's still some time before he'd probably cross paths with you. During this several minute period, anything you would like to do? Any of you?
I'm just driving.
Okay. Sophia, Hades. I'm sorry, was that Sophia?
I would have assumed I would probably pull Soma closer to Dahlia, and I'm gonna kind of sit in between them and just lean over to Dahlia and just kind of put my shoulder against hers, just sit in silence.
Okay.
She doesn't move or react. But internally, she appreciates it.
Like, Hades is actually just gonna be sitting. I'm gonna be sitting with my legs off the back of the wagon, just kind of like. It looks like he's keeping watch, but he is definitely not keeping watch. He is just 1,000-mile staring.
Okay. Throughout the quiet caravan trip throughout this countryside, you eventually hear a purposely not stealthy, fast-paced double footprint running towards your direction.
Whoa.
As Dero, you immediately see that you're about to run into what first looks like a crazy-ass motherfucker running in your direction until you recognize that this is Silik. As he just like runs past, doesn't even look at you, doesn't even say anything. As he really stops and he immediately like opens up to look inside to look for Dahlia. For any of you that are maybe dazing out and you haven't seen this in a while, it does kind of like throw you off for a second as just like a random monster just like opens in and just like peeks his head in like a creeper. As he just reverts back to his regular form, as he immediately jumps in without saying anything. As he just kneels right in front of Dahlia.
She doesn't even see him. She's like seeing right past him.
Just kind of like looks at you as he starts to not really cry, but he starts to have a emotional time with it. So he just like looks at you and he just kind of gently puts his hand on whatever, like your leg or your arm, whatever's closest, as he just tries to get your attention. I'm so sorry.
She'll have a moment
So
where
he's in the carriage, right?
Yeah.
Once he's in and the door's shut, I start driving again.
Okay.
after a moment, it's like she snaps back and hears his words, and she looks up to him, and all she can pull from the situation that it is real. It's not a dream, it's not some mind trick, and it just makes her start to cry again.
Just immediately, if you allow him to, immediately just goes and gives you a big hug and just keeps holding you until you push him away.
She'll allow it. She's just crumbled at this point. So Zephinia's arm, his embrace, like, she just folds into him. Doesn't form words.
You just won't let go. Eventually, Dira, you start to get closer as you start to see an open field. You start to see bodies all over the place until you can finally see bird in the air, and you can see Ren near a horse, and then you do see the ship not too far behind Ren. As you do find the destination of where you were planning to go to. Not 100 feet away.
I'm going to drive us up to where the ship is and find some place to, or just get them to stop, and then I'm going to go up to Ren.
One thing, DM, can I say, and since it takes them a really long time to get here, can I ritual cast Identify on this blade during that time?
Can you I'm sorry, can you cast what on it?
Identify.
Sure.
Sorry, didn't mean to put you off, Val. I just want to have answers for you before you guys get back.
Sure. I'll just give you a brief synopsis of what you're able to figure out from Identify. The blade itself, also called Ultima, allows the wielder to absorb energy of another blade, and it can house up to a power of 9 different weapons. The blade itself is completely useless until it absorbs power of another blade. and that is considered a +1 magical weapon. This blade is also a broken piece of another weapon. It looks like it's missing its housing. Still a longsword by all means, but it looks like there's like an extra blade that's supposed to be part of it. The blade itself is completely clear and it adapts to the color of whatever it absorbs. Based on this, you're able to figure out that the item itself is supposed to be attuned to all the other blades. Once it absorbs them, it is like a key, but it's still missing a specific part of it. Once it absorbs the power of each blade, it gets additional +1 magical property to it, and it gets the properties of that blade.
That kills people if they carry it, right? Like, if you're not good, you die?
So the specific properties of how this works is you have to be under a non-evil property. I'm not going to go as specific as lawful, but you cannot be chaotic or evil to be able to wield this blade. It has to be wielded by a pure elf or human. No splits, any kind of races, no different kind of powers. And the properties requires them to at least have a 13 in strength and at least a 13 in constitution to wield.
Sweet. Alright, with that background information on hand, Gira shows up.
Trying into any trouble?
None. The army has headed... Is that north, Joe?
Yeah, they headed north.
The army and the armada have moved north. So I think for now we are safe other than the dragon, which I have not seen any other evidence of. The boat is, besides being without a captain, of course, not skyworthy. And so we need to figure out what to do with that, but I assume we may be able to sail south and not encounter Averant, at least not that portion of Averant. And I kind of move out of the way of the horse and motion to the sword. And that thing.
That thing.
I know that
He wanted it. He wanted me to take it. I don't know.
yes. And regardless of who does take it, we can't let her take it. Which is why we are exactly where we are right now. And so we must ensure that that does not happen.
Right.
How is
What's it?
everyone?
I don't know. They're not great. I'm not great. Everybody's alive. We found Soma in the village. It was a near miss. Whole building fell on top of him. We got Gaji's mom and daddy. I don't know what they're making of all of this at all. But they're with us.
Well, maybe Soma will have some information, considering he bravely led the All-Mother off on his own. Glad to see he survived that encounter.
Yeah, there was it was touch and go for a minute there. There was something wrong, but we got it off him. Anyway, I guess
I think the crew would do well with a friendly face, a familiar face. Arthur, especially in this moment, if you wouldn't mind maybe helping to rally them. It certainly isn't my forte.
Right. I'll deal with this thing. I'll take it inside, and then that.
Okay, so you start heading inside the ship.
So I grab the package and just head into my quarters and stow it under the bed.
As you head in, immediately Daphne runs through. Immediately just knowing something's going on, immediately runs to the actual carriage to wonder what's happening. Not really known, just kind of sees the vibe on the place. Dahlia, do you stay on the carriage or you start getting off?
I would not be voluntarily moving at this point in time. So if the rest of the group gets off and Silic kind of coaxes her off, then that's when she would get off.
I'd say as he's trying to get you off, that's when Daphne comes in. And whether or not you say anything, she just looks at Silic, and Silic just starts shaking his head. She doesn't even know what's going on, but she immediately gives you the biggest motherly hug that, whether or not you want it, maybe you need it.
We break down a fourth time tonight. Let's go. It's full on. It's breakdown time. Yeah. She starts crying and her feet even buckle. At this point, she just holds her mom.
Say at this point, too, Gaju's family gets off, very confused about what's going on. They have no idea why you guys come to a ship. They start walking, and even though they were angry at Hades at first, currently, as outsiders go looking in and only know so many people, Hades, they currently cling on to you. Unsure of what you are doing here, what is going on, but they kind of don't say anything and they just kind of stick with you to make sure that this is...
I realized that this was like a closed carriage, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so he technically would have actually been on the roof with his feet like hanging off.
Okay.
If they come out, he just kind of looks around for the closest person nearby that he would know.
Okay. All right.
Well, like from the ship. Sorry.
Okay. Where are my ship people? Okay. Be able to find your main cook there, your dwarven cook that is out there, and he's kind of doing what he's kind of grabbing some boards and kind of quick welding up some of the spots to make sure ship is seaworthy, as he's the first one that you can find that might even kind of help out properly.
Hades just look at him and just be like, "Hey, those folks right there, those are Gaju's parents. Help them get what they need and get on the ship somewhere."
And he just immediately is like, "Oh my god, he looks at him,
just get to them and get them settled." And I'm just gonna kind of glide off the back of the carriage, and he just marches straight for the ship.
Okay. He's just like, "Well, let's get you some food. You look like you all could use something to eat." And he just starts pulling them in the directions to the ship to go to find whatever he's got available.
DM, point of order, did Metcana and Cammy come with us too, or did they stay? They stayed there. I don't see them.
Don't know where they are.
They were. I thought they were in the place that Soma was. When, like, last session, they were.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cammy was, but not Metacana.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
She was going to go looking for Metacana, right?
Yeah. Yep. All right.
I'm going to look around for Treya while everyone's loading in.
Okay. It's not hard to find her. She is one of the few people who are still on the deck of the ship, even though it's kind of angled. And she is kind of like hanging on the one point that's like angled up. So she's like at the kind of the highest point of the ship right now. And she's just looking out into the sea. Whether it's specifically the sea that she's trying to aim at, or she just actively does not want to see this much death.
I just walk up near her and just say, "Hey, kiddo. Long time no see."
But and she just kind of like looks at you, doesn't even know what's going on, but she just knows something happens, and she just kind of starts crying, She knows that you don't like to be hugged, so she just kind of holds herself in the process. And she just starts to cry as she's like hanging on to the side of the ship. Well, since technically you guys are on the side of the ship, not actually on top. And after all this, I'm glad that at least you're back.
Can I sit?
She doesn't see anything, but just shakes her head yes.
You'll probably hear this soon. But Raju didn't come back with us. He's gone.
She doesn't say anything, but it's like almost like she's not surprised. But
yeah,
she still
did what he does, which is protected everyone. As foolhardy as that might be sometimes. But I wanted to make sure that you didn't find out from some other way.
She doesn't say anything, she just looks at you and she just kind of gives like the nod of acceptance of the information you're given, but she just kind of like looks back at the sea. Not trying to push you away, but she just lost her words. As she's just looking out and just sitting there. Maybe due to how much shit has happened in her life, this is just another thing that she just has to deal with.
I just sit there quietly with her while wait for everybody to load in and do whatever they're doing, because Ren feels in the way and unfamiliar with the crew right now, so they just kind of want to be away from everybody. They're not like hiding, but you know, they're just trying not to be annoying.
Okay. Alright. As you two sit up there. Gaju's folks are in the ship. Over in getting some food. Daphne tries to coax Dahlia out. Well, Silik just hangs out by, but he understands the appreciation of a motherless love is much more important, as he just kind of hangs out behind and just kind of walks with you two.
She'll let her bring her on the ship. Just depends on where she chooses to take her, whether she gives any sort of reaction or not.
She just takes you back to what she considers your room, which is the cabin's quarters.
That's where Dahlia plants her feet and is just like, I can't do it.
Well, that's fine. But why don't you stay with us for a little while? Here, we'll go back over to our room.
No, and she just kind of pulls away. It's just like, I just want to be alone right now. And before her mom can respond, she disappears around the back of the ship.
Silik tries to follow, but immediately Daphne just grabs him and just kind of like, no. Let's see, Hades, Dira, Sophia.
Do I see Arthur anywhere?
Where are you right now?
I'm just looking around the ship, seeing if I can see where he is.
If you are looking around the ship, you do find him that he is almost like he's pretending like he's still manning the ship. He's kind of like in a daze, and he still has his hand on. And it's not like he believes he's truly at sea, but it's like almost like he's like his connection is what Gaju gave him, which is the right to control the ship, and he's hanging on to it right now.
I guess you heard. Thank you for keeping them all together, for keeping them safe. I know that was, if not all, it was definitely mostly you. We're gonna We're going to need more of that.
I didn't do much. I controlled the ship to the ground. You're able to stay in the air for some time. If it wasn't for a few of the soldiers, along with the tieflings and that whole family, if it wasn't for that, we would have come down crashing. I was able to control the ship, but they were at least able to bar us down while we were here. He's not even looking at you, he's just like in a straight gaze, blinking only every like 20 seconds. As he's just kind of like, almost like picturing this in his head.
You done well, all of you. And this ain't fair to anybody. So thank you.
Just blinks his eyes and looks back at you. I don't know what to do now. I mean, what do we do from here?
Well, the first thing we're going to do, and we've done it before and we'll do it again, the first thing we're going to do probably is get away. But right now, I think everybody needs to rest just a little bit. I'm going to, maybe this is the best place, I don't know. I'm going to try and gather everybody around. See what we can see. See what we can... Okay. I don't know. Anyway, you're done well. I put my hand on his shoulder and I go to try and... do we have like a bell or something that gathers people around?
There is like the center mast has an actual mast has like a bell on it. It's also like the good luck bell too. So it's same spot.
Okay, I'm gonna go ring that and stand up on like a crate or something.
Okay. Some of the crew comes, some of them don't. You get like a total of 6 of them along with Arthur, until Arthur starts noticing that everyone comes in. He just kind of stamps out. All right, all of you, now to the ship. We're not off duty yet. Come on. As they all start coming, as they're used to listening to him over anybody else as long as the captain's not around. You start to get all the crew that's still alive assembled together, minus the cook as he is trying to take care of Gaju's family. As they do all come around, some of them are on the deck, some of them are kind of like near the ground, but they're still paying attention. And they're all just looking at you.
I hop down and I don't check to see if Tria follows me or not. But when I like get into eye shot of Dira, I'm gonna shoot her a message and say, I think it's really important that we say goodbye before we leave Nilithir. So I have some ideas if you want to mention that perhaps in the morning we could come together to talk about it a little or say goodbye. I am a monk of the Soaring Flame after all. It is something I can do. If you want to mention it, maybe sunrise.
I just nod back to you. First thing I want to say to all of you, thank you. The ship is here because of you. We have a home to come back to because of y'all. And I know I see faces missing. And I'm sure some of y'all have heard by now. There's another face missing that we ain't going to see again. Your captain, our friend, Gajur Rakesh, he did not come back with us. He went out the way he chose, taking care of his family, taking care of what meant everything to him. And he wouldn't let us change that. That's going to be real hard to swallow. for us that was there. And for you that was here, making sure we have a home. Right now, tonight, we rest, we eat, we drink, we take care of each other. Come morning, that's going to be our time to say goodbye. If you want to say words, anybody who wants to say words, you are welcome. This is your home, this is your crew. He was your captain. I don't rightly know exactly where we go from here. Tonight we rest. Tomorrow we say goodbye. Somewhere in there we decide they ain't beat us. We are here. You are here. We'll find a way to make it count. Because of every single one of you. And don't you think we will ever forget that. Thank you all. Dismissed. And I'm going to climb up in the crow's nest and just curl up in a little ball for a while.
With the speech, it kind of breaks Arthur out of a well-deserved kind of slump. As he kind of like takes that motivation and he almost amps himself up. Just like looks at everyone as he just takes the eyes on him. I know that the captain's gone, but I don't think he'd want us to be sitting on our asses. This ship is our home, whether temporary or permanent. We should treat it as if he's still here. Now get off your asses and let's fix this thing. Let's get out of here. Now! As they all start rounding up and they start actually moving the ship. And they start working on it.
I'm gonna try to go figure out how many people are dead that aren't not only like crew from the ship, but anyone else that is around and help move their bodies.
So as far as just ship crew itself, 5 died.
Okay.
Not taking into account Nelithrian soldiers and Averant soldiers, which there is an abundance of them. There looks like there are some unknown variables in there. It looks like there's some soldiers that you don't understand what markings there are for them. They might just be civilians that grabbed some blades and decided to take up the fight. And there's a couple regular civilians that looked unarmed. A total of people you do not recognize. As far as that, there's about 13.
13 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Ren is gonna spend the rest of the night doing prep for things for tomorrow. They have some stuff they need to gather and make. And they'll probably help whoever is doing the work to, like, gather the dead, because I assume we're probably gonna burn their bodies. So, or bury them. So, since dead people are, like, the only people Ren for sure can touch, they're gonna help, do that, and just, like, clean up the dead and gather them and make sure that they're all, like, shrouded and stuff like that.
Sure. Okay. All right. For anybody who's actively looking around, if you're not like in a daze and you're kind of like focused on yourself, for anybody who's actively looking around, I need for any of those, if your passive perception is at least an 18, let me know.
I mean, I think I probably still have my stupid goggles on that I've up in the crow's nest.
Okay.
A 19 if you want to use it while I'm like looking around for people and stuff like that.
Okay. So for those people, you do notice that throughout some time, Treya moved from her spot. By the time you notice what's going on, it looks like she's actually leaving the captain's quarters. And then she just like looks up to try to figure out where you are, Ren. And then she eventually sees you, but she doesn't allow you to get closer as she just kind of waves and she just transforms and she flies away.
Like into what, a bird?
Yep.
I will drop what I'm doing and go. First, I'll message her, like, as she transforms and be like, what do you think you're doing? And then if she doesn't answer me, I will, like, beeline for the captain's quarters to go see if she left something in there.
Okay. She does not respond, so you can go in there. Now, you don't know what necessarily belongs and what doesn't belong, but you can give me a perception check just to see if anything stands out.
As I walk in there, I pull the bird off my shadow and flick it into the room and say, help me look.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to move fast.
Fair enough.
27.
Okay. Like I said, this is your first time in here. As far as what stands out, the only couple things that really grab your attention as far as like what maybe should belong is on top of a table there seems to be a small case with like a ribbon on it and a note. The note is put in a wrap. The other thing that seems out of place is it looks like there is like a small bag sitting like on top of another table. The only reason why it looks out of place is it just doesn't seem just to fit like the overall aesthetic of it. But you don't know if it's actually just like, hey, we just put it there just cause. But those are the only thing that stands out. The only two things that stand out.
Ren shakes off the moment of feeling like they're trespassing on hallowed ground, and they immediately look around to make sure like nobody else is in here at all.
You don't see anyone else.
I don't know if Dahlia came in here at some point.
Nope.
So yeah, if they don't see anyone, they're just gonna like open the top of the bag and peer in that first because it's the easiest to do and closest.
So the second item. Okay. So you open up the bag and you look inside, and what it specifically looks like is, at first glance, either it's powder or it's ash or it's something that is more of a kind of a very, very soft, broken down texture. Probably a pound worth.
And then, not wanting to deal with that right the second, Ren is going to check the table and see what was on the table.
Okay. So the item itself is a rectangular box, no more than like about 2 feet in length. The box isn't ornate by any means, it just is a solid box. It's not locked, but it's being wrapped around by a 4-way tied ribbon, making it really hard to open it up without actually undoing the ribbon. And the ribbon itself is tied to a rolled up note that is in scroll format.
Does it have anything written on the outside?
Mm-mm.
Can I slide the note out of the ribbon without untying it?
Slide a fan check.
Yeah. Rogue shit. That's a 17 with plus 9 for me to slide it in.
You're able to easily slide it out without like messing up with the consistency of the ribbon or messing up with the ripping the parchment of any kind. It is a small note. It looks like it was quickly written.
I read it.
Okay. I hope this finds you, and once you read this, you can choose whether or not to tell the rest. I can't say that I was completely forthcoming with the group. There are things that I see, there are things that I fear, but I can never truly understand them. But the one thing I knew was going to happen when you guys went to this town was one of you was going to die. I knew that when I met all of you, that there would be a point where I would understand that there's eventually a time where I need to confront what has been approaching me. A vision I see every night. Long story short, I need to confront it head on. I'm going to do it on my own. If we cross paths again, I will be happy. And the moments that I was with all of you, I cherish. I give you the one possession that I was given once upon a time. I was told to only hold it in my hands if I chose to give myself to the one inside. It gave me comfort for a long time knowing that as long as I held it, the nightmares could never hurt me. I hope that if you hold this blade, your past nightmares and future nightmares don't hurt you. I'm sorry
was
for
it addressed to someone? Sorry, I thought you were done. Was it addressed to Dahlia?
Yeah, it's addressed to Dahlia.
Okay.
So, you assume there's some kind of item inside the box that helped Treya not take any kind of, would you assume, some kind of harm from her own visions?
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic in the room to find out if that's magical and also if the bag full of fantasy cocaine is magical.
Yes. The fantasy cocaine is magical, and the item inside the box and the box are both magical.
Oh shit. Okay, so the powder is magical. The item in the box
No.
is
Fantasy
magical,
cocaine. We're going with that. Fantasy cocaine. That's what it's called now.
Fancy cocaine. All right, cool. A pound of fancy cocaine. There's enough for everyone to feel a lot better.
Fantasy.
I have like a different reason why this exists, but it's like, you know what? Here's some cocaine. Make yourself feel better. Use it or not, you know.
Ren opened a bag with a light colored powder. We just been in the chat like she gave us cocaine. God damn it.
I did not even think about that when I said it. So like the last thing I thought of. No.
Oh, sorry. It's us. We had to find some humor in something.
But yes, the ingredients inside the bag, the box, and the item inside the box, all three items are magical.
Alright, I'm gonna burn spell slots to cast Identify without as a ritual on the bag first.
Okay. Alright, so as you cast Identify on the fantasy cocaine, you're able to find out that, by all intents and purposes, this is actually, basically, it is different pieces of dirt, ground up different ingredients of enchanted items. But it looks like what made it magical is what Treya did to it. And it looks like it's used as a burial soil. Most likely, this is used to actually enchant somebody so their burial cannot be disturbed once they're put into the ground.
Well, that's a sad take on our fantasy cocaine.
Well, Ren feels really conflicted about this because they don't have a body to bury him. So...
She didn't know that, though.
Right. Okay. Ren's gonna pick that up, and they're gonna take the whole bag of fantasy cocaine dirt. And then I'm gonna...
So the short of it is that if you bury a body and you mix this with the dirt in the body cannot be resurrected, it cannot be turned into a zombie, and it cannot be affected by Speak with Dead. So no necrotic magic can be used with this body once it is buried.
So it's powdered gentle repose.
Pretty much.
So he wouldn't be able to ever be resurrected if he was buried in this?
As long as that soil exists there. Yeah. It allows them to be protected due to certain cultures believing that once one is dead, they should stay dead.
Just look at it and I'm like, oh, Treya. I have half a mind to dump this in the ocean because when you're the goddess of reincarnate, when you follow the goddess of reincarnation / resurrection, who's a phoenix, I only think you believe in staying dead. So I feel really conflicted about this. It is a sweet gesture, but I am pretty sure the second that Dahlia gets a chance to resurrect her man, that she gonna do it, and she would not want this.
She's gonna accidentally snort the burial dirt. She's like, "Oh, they left me cocaine. That's so nice. This does not. Oh no, that's not. Oh no."
It's a weird kind of burn. Yeah.
Very much no.
Based on what I know about this, if it would have to be used on like the majority body proper, it wouldn't be like if you had their finger and you buried their finger with this dirt, but their whole body couldn't be resurrected.
No,
right, cool.
Yeah, it has to be the whole body. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take that. And then I don't want to open this box because that's so rude, and I'm already being super nosy. But I will cast Identify on the box because I want to know what the box is.
The properties of this box is that any item trapped inside that is sentient cannot leave the box without certain words being said. The box itself can either be opened from the outside, or something trapped on the inside can say a command word that is usually 3 long. You can read what the command word is. Let me pull it back up.
I wasn't ready for this.
The command 3 words is dreams, nightmares, visions, in that order.
And only the person inside has to use that?
If you're trapped inside, you need to say it in that exact order. If you're on the outside, you can just open up like a regular box.
Does this feel like you have to be the size of the box to be trapped inside of it, or any sized thing?
You assume it kind of works like a genie's lamp. It kind of puts something in pocket dimension and holds it there that way.
Whoa. We could put that fucking sword in here. No one would ever be able to get it out.
Let me specify. So the item needs to fit in there, but if it has a sentience, that's, you'll see when you open it up. Let's put it like that. You'll see when you open it up.
Sure. I don't have any more magic because I just used all my spell slots for the day. So I am not going to open this box because if I need magic for whatever's inside of it, I don't have any. So I am going to, I will leave the note here. I will take out my own parchment and I'm going to write on it a description of what this box is. So Dahlia is aware of what it is, and then I will also write next to it, like, underneath that, I'll write, I didn't open it, but be wary if and when you do. Because I assume there may be a sentient item inside of it. And then I'll sign it with my name, and then underneath my name, I'm just going to put, like, I'm sorry. And then leave it. And then, yeah, I'm gonna take the dirt with me, though. And then I'm gonna go back to what I was doing.
Sounds good. All right, rest of the group. Anyone?
How late is it into the night?
Right now, you guys would be about not really fully at night because that's when you actually fought the dragon originally. So you guys would be actually about midday at this point.
I'm not going to be doing too much because I'm still stressy and depressy.
Should be
So we were basically up all night?
pretty much.
I think I'll probably head to my room. I am not letting Soma's hand go because he is not going on my sight right now.
Okay.
And just kind of sit in silence and sadness.
He will follow you if you take him somewhere. He's just kind of like confused, distraught, disappointed. You can kind of tell, like, looking at him, he's also kind of almost disappointed in himself. Very much a man who's put himself on a pedestal this whole time. He's kind of, in one day, kind of like many people died, where he thought he could have been their protectorate.
I'm just gonna kind of tell him, just don't go far right now. Just stay here.
He doesn't go anywhere.
And then pull myself up in the room for a while, shun everybody and everything.
Okay. Anybody want to actively do anything, or is it going to be just kind of like we're all going to kind of hunker down for a little while and get a long rest?
I think I'm probably going to fall asleep in the crow's nest. Not
Okay.
intentionally, but
enough.
eventually the crash is going to happen.
Got it. Okay.
I am locked in the study, like legitimately door locked, just manically moving around, looking through books, taking notes, writing things down.
Okay. Anything
Also,
you're looking
unless
for
someone else in the
specifically?
party is there to... One more thing, sorry, just unless anyone else in the party is there to tell them there's a random black horse hanging around and they don't know why.
Okay.
Whose horse is that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say that before you got too into it.
I mean, that's some horse shit, but
Is there anything you're specifically looking for?
He's just trying to. I'm just trying to like dig through books, see if I can find anything that could lead me in a direction of getting Geji back. Just, and it's manic at this point. It's just honestly like Tim Curry level of moving around, just like opening books, flipping pages, just trying to like write notes, make connections, trying to figure something out, even though it probably isn't possible.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Dahlia
I do.
disappeared around the back of the ship, and she's been MIA since. She
Okay.
didn't come to the speech or anything.
Nobody has seen her.
I mean, people would have seen where she went, but like, yeah.
I think two things if nobody has anything to do before the end of the night. I would send Bird to go look for Dahlia, not to bother her, but just to keep an eye on her, make sure she's not sniffing fantasy cocaine. And then
Lord, if I had some.
I do want to go find the quarters that they put Gaju's family in.
Okay, that's right now, because no one told them otherwise, they're still down over in the mess.
Oh, well then I'm gonna go. Is my room empty? Does anyone use it yet?
I think your room is still available.
Go get them and go put them in my room.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go find them.
Okay. Currently, right now, the chef is going around. He's trying to make as much food as possible with what's stock that hasn't gotten damaged during the crash. and he's currently trying to not talk to them, but just trying to fill up body and soul with food.
Excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. and Mrs. Drumick. My name's Ren.
You were
I
with
think
the
we've-
rest of the group.
Right, we haven't formally been introduced, but I previously traveled with Riot and find myself amongst them again. And I wanted to speak with you. I know this is a very difficult time, but I myself am Nelithiran. And I'm also a priest of sorts. Hardly, but that barely matters. And I would very much appreciate the opportunity to perform rites for your son before we leave Nelithiran land. I don't believe he would want to... I can't speak for him, but if it were me, as a child of Nelithir, I would prefer to be laid to rest in my home. And so I was hoping you might have something of his that perhaps I could use to commit the rite, as we do not have his remains.
They look at each other. First, kind of like accepting that, yeah, you can do this, and then like giving up something. They kind of like look at each other, kind of like reading between lines. You assume they both have an idea what they can give you, but they're kind of pondering if they want to bear with it. As they're like looking at each other, as Zarmir just looks at her, and we can't hang on to it forever. If we must complete the rites, this is the last thing he gave me. This is the last thing that we did. And she just like has something in her hand, and she kind of like pulls it as she's like holding it in her hands. As he just like looks at you, and he kind of gives like a finger, kind of like as like a notification that's like, give me a minute. Like, we'll do this, but let me take care of it.
I just nod.
Okay. As they just kind of turn around, and he just kind of like holds her, and he's like holding on to the hands that's holding whatever she's got in her hand. Okay. Dahlia, anything, or are you just gonna just hang out there and just lock in?
She is sitting in the little lifeboat in the back of the ship where Gaijirakosh proposed to her, with the blanket around her shoulders, just sitting in the bottom of the ship and staring off into the distance. And I would say after multiple hours, if sleep finds her, she doesn't fight it.
Okay.
And that's where she chooses to rest.
Okay, so you do pass out in the lifeboat.
Bird will find her there, and after she falls asleep, will like do the little bird hop like up and just be like pew and be like right on you.
For anybody who at least is keeping their eyes out, he won't come near you, he won't disturb you, but Silic is making a point just to keep an eye on you. As he's still going to be on the ship, but he is going to stay awake just to make sure that you are safe, and he's just going to stay at distance. He doesn't want you to know that he's there, but he's just going to stay there, and he's just going to watch you like a hawk and just make sure that Not like he's worried what you're going to do, but just more or less, if you need somebody, he's there. You do notice for whoever's on the main deck, though, is that there is a familiar face that's sitting with him. And it looks like she's bringing him something to drink, some food, understanding that what he is doing is right. As you do see Nyx come up there. But in a surprise, she is a lot more due than you expected. The process of 2 weeks almost looks like 3 months.
Damn, girl. Get it. I mean,
as anybody who's close can hear in that she's brings him a blanket and she just gives him a kiss, and if you want to, I'll be back over in the room. Otherwise, stay out here, watch her. You'll be fine. She starts walking back in. As it is starting to get pretty cold out, it is nighttime, and you are still technically on the water, even though you're still towards the shoreline. At this point, as nightfall starts to come around, the smoke of where you began is starting to lessen. But the sounds, for anybody who has good hearing, of nearby towns is nightmarishly distracting. You can't help but, whether or not it's real or it's in your head, you can't help but hear screams of people that you unfortunately can't save. But they are sounds that move with the wind. They're not close by, but it can't be helped. So Dolly's asleep, Dira's asleep, Zephinia's asleep. Hades, you're still going through books.
Oh yeah, he's lost in his own mind at this point.
Got it. Okay. Going, just rifling through books, no problem. Eventually, since this is kind of like not like his private quarters, but the main area where he works, you do see Dahlia's father come in. As he says, seeing you rifling through books.
Door is locked.
Oh, door is locked? Okay. He doesn't even realize the door is locked as he just kind of like turns it on. He's just kind of like walked into it. It's like, the hell? He starts like listening in. He just kind of gives like a...
He's mumbling and is like, what? Maybe if I can find the book on this and I can find if this would work, if that would work, maybe if I could combine these two elements.
He doesn't try to stop you, but he just kind of like quietly talks to see if you can hear him. Do you need anything? Do you need me to get you some food, some water, anything?
I do this and that. No, I'm fine, thank you. Hey, I need peace and quiet right now. That's all.
Well, if you change your mind, I'll be right out here. Take your time. As you can hear him kind of pull up like a chair, and he just kind of sits by the door.
He completely ignores it, doesn't even hear that aspect of things. He just goes back to it.
Okay. All right. And then, Ren, anything you want to do before you would eventually go to sleep or take trains?
Do I get the idea that Gaju's parents are going to give me something now or something later?
You assume they probably got to sleep on it.
I do want to offer them my quarters and lead them to where that is.
Okay. So they do follow. At that point, as you like let him go in the quarters, Zarmir just looks at her. It'll be fine. She just looks and she starts to slowly unlatch as he just takes it. And he just opens his palm to you. You just see the hair that was cut from Gaju right in the palms. Do you promise that whatever you do is gonna matter? This is the last thing we got of him. I want to know that this actually. He just like loses his words, and he just tell me that it's for right. It's for. He just doesn't even know how to speak. He just tries to get an answer from you of just like, what does this make sense? He just hands it over to you.
I take it like very respectfully. Very little makes sense in war. But what I can tell you is that I am going to, with everyone else, hopefully by our side, ensure that his spirit is not trapped here, as is the way of Nilithir. We cannot allow him to remain. We must allow him to be free. And we must beseech the ancients of our people to carry him to the afterlife. And as we know, through the magic of many of the gods, sometimes that afterlife is not forever. And if we can find a way to return your son to the living, I do not think I have to ask any member of Hiraeth to confirm that any of us would go to the ends of the world to make that happen. And if it is possible, even if we have to create it, we will do this. But in the meantime, we must allow him to rest, and we must not carry his ghost on our backs, or else we will not move forward. It is not the way of our people, nor is it the way of Elosna's people, to allow the dead to tarry. And if there are secrets in the beyond that Gaju can learn, I want him to have all of the time that he has to learn them. The names that you only know in death, and the truths that are not available to the living. He's going to need as much time as he can get, because if we have anything to say about it, he won't be there for very long. But it is important to say goodbye when we must, even if it is just for now.
He just puts his hands, like, not on you, but he, like, leans up close to you, and he just, like, whispers. He doesn't want her to hear. Do what you need to do. Just thank you for the room. Whatever else you need for the rite, we'll do what we can, or more or less I will. But I think it's time that I try to get her to get whatever sleep she can, if she can at all. Thanks again for the room, but he just starts like slowly closing it, and he just like looks at you and just kind of head nods as he closes the door all the way.
I just nod and give him a little respectful nod, and I just wrap that in my cloak, and I take it to the mess, which I'm assuming is mostly empty at this point, and I start get the things that I had gathered when I was outside doing the things with the bodies. I have just like a bag full of sort of different herbs and things from the Nelithiran woods, and I have some stuff I need to do to prepare for a rite in the morning, so I'm going to do that for the rest of the night.
Okay. All
You
right.
said it was like midday.
Yeah, well, it started off midday when you guys got there. As
When we
after
first
like
got there, so-
as you guys start moving around, if you guys went to sleep, it'd probably be about like 4, 5 o'clock when you guys would eventually
Okay.
crash.
Okay, so it'll be like wee hours when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Like midnight, 1 a.m. Alrighty.
Okay. Obviously, nightmares come to all of you, but the obvious ones. Nothing insightful, just, the dreams you can't escape from. Whether it's restless sleep or not, you all do complete your rest, and you can all hit the long rest button if you need to.
I am gonna get up at Dark 30 before everybody else.
Okay.
I want to go over by where Gaijo and I used to train, and I'll kind of walk in that area a little bit, reminiscing. Just, all of our fights and the time he almost beat me, but didn't. And then I'm going to kind of look out to the water a little bit. I'd like to go down to the kitchen, and before everybody wakes up, I want to try and replicate the meal that Gaiju's mom made.
Okay.
And some of his favorite foods.
Okay.
And it's probably going to go really badly, but my cooking skills have gotten better, so I'm hoping it doesn't.
You have time at your hands. No one's impeding you. And you are fully focused. I'll allow you to give me a performance check with advantage.
Okay. Performance?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Z, you got this real good. Make good food. Good life choices. 22?
22. You go maybe a couple trials, but you give yourself no time before people start waking up. And you try to find anything you got that's at your disposal to try to make and replicate this as much as possible. It's not perfect, but with the ingredients you got, since you don't actually have the ingredients, it is a good match. The smell itself is an aroma that wakes up everyone in a pleasant, as much of a pleasant way that you can be to wake up in such a scenario. The odor itself takes the whole ship. And just like waking up to nice eggs and bacon in the morning, this is that heartwarming smell that overtakes the ship. Again, it's not exact, but it's enough to even grab the attention of Gaiju's folks to come out, and they start walking through disheveled. They don't care who sees them, that they are not presentable, that they are not clean. They start kind of dragging themselves over to follow the smell. By the time they get there and a few other crewmates are there, they look, they don't even say anything. They don't even ask for permission to come in and look around, as she just walks in and she starts smelling. And as if it is one of the bigger hugs that she needed, she just starts coming out with the tears as she just looks at you. And she just puts her hands on your hands. She just looks at you. It's perfect.
I'm gonna smile and just start crying. And I'm gonna grab a bowl and I'm just gonna cry and hand it to her.
She grabs a bowl and he grabs a bowl, and they just both, and they look back at you. Join us?
I will in one moment. Give me a few moments. And I'm gonna take a bowl and I'm gonna walk to where I last saw Dahlia and see if I can find her.
Okay. You know where she was originally. I don't think you would actually know that she was on the lifeboat. But you do see where Silic is he's just watching, exhausted. And you do see that he's looking down into the waters. You can assume that he's watching her.
I'm gonna kind of look over. Can I see her?
Mm-hmm. If you woke up a little bit earlier, she's probably still sleeping, but she's probably tossing and turning.
I'm gonna go down. I'm not gonna wake her up, but I'm just gonna sit next to her with food. And I'm gonna wait until she wakes.
Okay. Okay.
How long are you gonna wait?
I'll wait until you wake up.
Just hang out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The smell does overtake the ship. Before anybody completes a long rest, you can choose to let the smell take you and go to the mess hall and serve yourself up what is a familiar dish that was of the Rakash home and the very inviting motherly smell that is of the food.
Ren is gonna appear in the mess. They are wearing their full like ceremonial monk outfit that has like their soaring flow and their like beads and everything, and they have cleaned up entirely from the perils of the day before, and put their hair back. Like, they don't look the same as they looked the last time the party saw them, as far as like, there are definitely things that have changed about them. You know, there's like more permanent marking a little bit from the plague, and their eyes are still like, there are more black parts inside of their like white sclera than there used to be, but they look some semblance more of healthy, and they are carrying like a bag, not the fantasy cocaine bag, a different bag. They're carrying a bag that has supplies in it for the things that they're going to do, and they come in so they can eat with everyone.
Dira comes down from the mast, is just, as you would expect, you know, an absolute wreck, and I'm just going to splash some water in my face and wash my hands and follow the smell and go join everybody, and eventually, like, register that, oh, wow, I'm a mess. I should do something about that, but food first.
Hades does not come down.
I look at Dira while we're getting everything together and say, we need to pull the crew and the team together to say goodbye.
Yeah.
After breakfast.
Yeah.
If you want to help me with that, I've assembled a place in the clearing. We might do something. And there's like, Ren has set up a spot in the night before, and if any crew help them, like with the bodies, I think they've set up like a pyre. They've helped set up a pyre at the shoreline, where I'm sure like most of the bodies will get burned when they leave, and then like a clearing in the woods for a ceremony for Gotcha.
So I'm gonna finish up my food, kind of count heads, notice who's missing, and kind of rake my hand through my hair as I go looking for them. Just kind of, I'm gonna straighten myself up as best I can. I'd probably stop by my quarters to get a clean shirt, put everything back together again. I will probably look for Hades first, because I believe he's the first one I lost track of. So I'm assuming I know where the books live, and that's probably where I'm likely to find him.
Yeah, there's really only one spot of the ship where there is all like the knowledge and everything like that.
They all live.
Yep. So I'm gonna go up there and see if he's there. Is the door open? Is it locked again?
Still locked.
Okay. Hades, you suffer 1 level of exhaustion.
No, I don't.
You
Because
don't?
I passed out while reading, but even if I didn't, my jacket allows me to not get exhausted.
Oh, that's true. That's right. Yeah.
It's the coat.
You're gonna like the way you coat. I guarantee it.
Hades? You in there?
Yes, I'm in here. What do you need?
You alright?
I'm fine. What do you need?
I need you. We're gathering.
I don't have time for gatherings. What do you need?
What time? What do you mean?
There is far more important things that need to be discovered and figured out right now. I don't have time for gatherings. Is there something that you need pressing?
We need you to be part of our team. What is so pressing?
The most important thing. We need to guide you back. We'll figure it out. There's a way to do it, I'm sure, but I don't have time for group meetings or getting together for whatever it is, unless it is something incredibly dire.
Him.
I will honor him by bringing him back. Now, if there is something that you need from me that I can do, I will assist. But until that time, I have other things that are important right now.
You're important.
He's not
too.
gone.
You're important too.
Sure,
What you need
yes.
to do is live.
That is what I'm doing. By trying to find a way to get him alive again.
That ain't the same thing.
If there's nothing else, I don't have time. And he just... You hear him kind of start mumbling again.
I'm gonna bonk my head on the door. I don't know what else to say to him right now, so I'm just gonna go tell the others that, and next up is I'm going to go find Dahlia.
I'm assuming Zephania is still there.
Yeah. If you haven't woken up yet, Dahlia, Zephania, while you're down there, just give me a perception check.
Spooky 20.
Whether or not she knows it, she's curled up with something. Don't know when she got it, how it got there, but she's currently wielding Gaju's golden sword.
I'm gonna reach a hand out and just like put it on her shoulder.
Okay. For some reason, she's not getting burned by it.
I'm gonna shake her just a little. Dahlia.
When you initially even go to move the sword, you just see her in this make this kind of conflicted face, and she just says, "Gajotakash." And a second later, her eyes snap open and she bolts upright.
Calm down, calm down.
And she looks around, and the reality sets in that it wasn't a dream. And she just glances towards you and just says, "Is this real?"
I'm gonna set the food down and just pull her into a hug. It's real.
You just feel her shoulders and her body just go limp. She doesn't cry, but it's more of there's no tears left. And she just goes quiet again.
I'll pull back after a few minutes. Dahlia. It looks like he's still looking after you. Look down, and I'll kind of point towards his sword.
She looks at it, and there's a blank expression on her face. and then her lip curls almost a little bit at it, and she doesn't reach out and touch it. This isn't mine.
You just need to safekeep it for the time being. Get it back.
She waits a minute, and then hesitantly reaches out and brushes her fingers on it to see if it burns.
It seems to not harm you this time.
And
From under your sleeve, a little bird face pops out. But remember, Bird looks like a tiny little gougy bird right now.
Thanks, Red!
Oh.
Dahlia just bursts into tears again.
She does!
Z's gonna go back to hugging her.
she thinks that Bird is Gaiju for a moment, and her face lights up. But realizing that after a moment it's not Gaiju, her face absolutely crumbles. And she pulls the sword to her chest, knowing that it's one of the last things he ever touched. Knowing that his scent is probably on it, and it's the last thing that he had. And there were no tears, but they're still crying. We're having a good day.
I'll eventually pull back and just hold the food out to you.
She gives it a millisecond of attention and shakes her head and crumples back on to the sword.
I'll sit down next to you because I don't want you to be alone, and just kind of lean up against you. We'll find some way. I don't know how. But he can't be gone forever.
She just cradles the sword and has a death grip on it, and it's just like, do we have to get the body? And she just keeps repeating that over and over, more like to herself afterwards than to you. Shit, my bad. I dropped that.
We'll find some other way, Dahlia. There's gotta be another way. We'll find it. Will you come back to the mess hall?
She just bows her head
up and offer her a hand to help her up.
Dear, what you doing right now?
Looking for you, and I have no reason to know that that's where you are.
Wandering.
I'm wandering the ship until I find you. What's this? John? Do you have a passive perception of 20?
If you send a purple tiefling, this is called clearly sad, but we haven't talked.
Eventually, I will find you.
Yeah, eventually we'll find you.
As a person trained to mom everyone on the ship for a really long time, you would be very aware of the things happening in the periphery as you move around.
Oh, I do not know where they proposed. But I will find you eventually. Hey, you two. Good morning.
Hey,
It's getting to be time. Ren's got things ready. I know you weren't there yesterday when I said folks could prepare words or whatever, think about what they want to say, but maybe it'll help us to hear it. I think maybe it'll help you to hear it. We need to
Dolly
do
just
this.
gives a quiet nod.
Come on. Did you get something to eat?
I pick up the bowl of uneaten food and just kind of pass it over to Dira.
Come on. Ain't nobody grieving on an empty stomach around here.
I'll eat later. And she stands up on her own.
Alright. I'm watching you. Come on.
She'll follow them quietly.
And I will... I couldn't get Hades to come. We're gonna have to do something. But I don't know what to do right now.
Join us. No, none of us should be alone right now.
He locked the door. He said he doesn't have time. I don't even know what to say to that. He thinks, well, maybe he ain't wrong about that, but I don't know what to do. Didn't see him at all. Ain't never heard him like this.
At
Maybe
that
he'll go
mention, Dahlia just quietly disappears. She's not trying to be quiet, but she is half rogue. So I don't know if they'll catch on to it.
I mean, we are kind of keeping an eye on you, so we will
Valid.
question it if we see you.
Valid. If you do, she is going down below the stairs, and she is going to the little bookkeep area where the maps and stuff are. She knows that Hades would typically be there.
If I see her do that, I'm gonna hang kind of at the doorway at the end of that corridor and watch her. I'm not gonna interfere. She knows better what to say to him.
I'll stick with Dira.
Hades, you just hear like a very soft knock on the door. No words.
Ira, I said I'm busy and I cannot. I must stick to this. What?
It's not Dira.
The shuffling and whatnot just kind of stopped for a second.
Can you open?
What do you need, Dahlia?
Open the door.
I would say it takes a long second, and then you hear the door like unlock as it like just opens enough to see his face. He's just like, "What do you need?"
They want to... And her face crumbles a little bit. Say goodbye.
If you're looking at him, you actually visibly see his eyes roll for a second. And he's like, "I didn't ask you what they want. I said, what do you need?"
Gaichurakash would want you to be.
I don't think he would want any of us to do that. I think he would want us to live and to continue on, and that is what I am doing. I am in here, I am living, I am trying to figure out how to get him back.
And she visibly flinches when he says getting him back. No one says we're not doing that. But this is for him. And for us. And for his family.
So put the bookmark down. And you can come back later. And she's still clutching the sword as she's speaking.
He is quivering a bit and kind of just like takes his hand and puts it over hers as and it's just he sacrificed himself. He did everything to keep us safe, and I understand that people have religion and beliefs and they want to say goodbye and all that, but I won't let him leave us. You, me, all of us. What good is this knowledge that I have? What good is the ability to command the cosmos with my hands and mind and fingers, if not to force it to do what I want? I have all this cosmic power, all this raw energy inside me that does fucking nothing.
She pulls the sword away from her chest and just looks down at it and kind of holds it out for him to see as well. He hasn't left us. This doesn't have to be the end, but we need you too. And you need us. And she pulls him into a very fierce hug.
Stabs in my accent. No,
It's sheathed! It's a sheathed sword! Calm down!
he just like arms are dangled to the side and doesn't really hug back. And you kind of hear a sniffle and just a
Whether he thinks that she's hugging him for his comfort or not, there's something in the embrace that is very much like Dahlia needs him right now. There's something kind of desperate and devastated and broken in the way that she just has a very tight grip.
I mean, if it's not hidden, it's obvious. He senses it, but I would say in the exact same response, though, his lack of giving it back, it is the same boat. And he just says, "That's fine. Sure, I'll be there, but I'm not hungry, and I have had no need to eat or much of anything, but sure, I'll be there."
She releases him and doesn't say anything, but takes his hand and leads him out of the room towards where the girls are waiting.
I'm gonna kind of give him a head nod, and you can see in her facial expression, she's mirroring the pain on your guys' face. And she's gonna look down and just hold out what is now a very sad, cold breakfast, because she doesn't know how else to comfort everybody except to give them food. Just kind of hold it out to you.
I mean, if Dahlia keeps walking, he just kind of keeps walking. I just kind of acknowledge the look and the bowl, and just like kind of shrug it off and just I don't need it. Thank you though, and keeps going.
Dolly does the
Just
same.
seems
She
to
just
be
gives a
kind
slight
of
shake of the head.
Why don't we drop that off? We'll try again later. And we will head out to the clearing, I assume?
Or to the deck wherever Ren is.
Yeah, Ren let Dira know where it is. What they've done is like there's a little clearing like in the trees pretty close to where they are, and then there's like a channel dug in the ground that leads all the way to like where the bodies are on the shore. There's like a makeshift pyre that's kind of been built that has like all of the dead from the conflict that happened when we weren't here. So like the 5 members of the crew, but also like in total the 13 people, enemy or not, that perished in that fight are all there, and they're all shrouded. And then there's like a little channel in the earth that goes all the way back to like this little circle. And if you guys head out there, there's Ren is out there sort of like preparing an area, and there's like a leaf circle all the way around. There's like a circle dug in the ground that's attached to like one channel circle that's attached to that line that runs to the shore, and then there's like a leaf kind of intentionally spread, these large leaves from the woods intentionally spread around the circle to kind of make a space. And then there's already a hole dug in the ground in the middle of the circle, and there's also a little brazier next to that, like it's like a bowl, like an earthenware type thing that's on the ground, in the direction, like sitting nearest to the channel that leads out to the shoreline. And they're just finishing some things up and waiting for everybody to arrive.
I'm gonna be following Dira with my eyes kind of on the ground.
And Ren has told like the crew and everybody that they're gonna like honor the people that were lost. So that way hopefully everybody will come.
Perfect. Okay. The crew starts assembling.
As everybody is assembling, Ren has like a bowl full of herbs and has lit them on fire, and is kind of like sort of smudging the space, like letting the incense go to all the areas of the circle, and just invites people to stand like just on the outside around the circle. And then they'll wait for everybody to kind of gather around that before they do anything.
Okay.
I'm letting the girls lead. And I'm just casting glances to make sure Hades is still behind me. If he's behind me or next to me.
He'll be behind until they're within like eye shot. Like he probably is going to stay back about 20-30 feet from all this.
Z won't go too far from them. She'll kind of be between Dira and Dahlia.
If I see Hades hanging back, I grab his hand, not so much in like a commanding manner, but in like a I need your support kind of manner. Nobody left behind.
He'll go up with her then.
If that happens, thinking that, this is solely what you need, Gaju's folks come up to you. They don't say a word, as if they need as much too. They also hold your hand. Not saying a single word.
Still have the sword in my other hand, but
do you?
I take their hand and wrap their hand around the sword with me.
Okay.
and guide them up.
As Gira and Zephinia, and Dahlia and Hades and their families and the rest of the crew arrive, the bird will come and sort of like land in the circle with me, and then I'm gonna pick up off of like a little piece of cloth that I have laid out here. It's like a little bundle, and then on top of it are some like leaves and flowers, but when I pick it up it's actually like a little, like a wreath or a circlet, and the little flowers that are woven into it are white, and I put one on each of, it's like a mourning wreath, and I put one on both of Gaju's parents and one on Dahlia because she's his family as well. And once I feel like everybody is in the area, I just set the bowl down that's burning the incense and I leave it there to continue to burn. And I look at Dira and I just nod a little bit. We in Nilithir have certain beliefs about the soul and what we must do in order to honor it, who we must call to protect it. And so be you Nilithiran by blood, or be you Nilithiran through Gaju's family, our family. We must do this to honor him. So I will give the rites of Nilithir, and you'll witness the rites. And then we will hold him together. And I pick up the little bundle, and when I open it, it's Gaju's hair, like his braids, and there's little like baubles and things, and it's the gift from his family. We cannot lay his body to rest, but we can put part of him in the earth, which I believe would be his wish. With the blessing of the great healer Uttara, we call upon the powers of the north. With the blessings of the great enduring Thorius, we call upon the powers of the east. With the blessing of the sacred hunter Tara, we call upon the powers of the west. And with the blessings of Atmir, the Ender Lord, we call upon the powers of the south. Ancients of the north, give us enduring love. Ancients of the east, give us patient growth. Ancients of the west, give us keen discernment. And ancients of the south, give us divine rest. I put the bundle down in the hole that I've made, but I hold some things in my hand from it still. As we commit this child of the old ways to this circle, let his spirit unite with the spirit of this place. Let it be released from pain and set free to rejoin the endless wonder of the universe. Let his essence become the bloom of countless Nelithiran forests and fields, for an age upon an age. Let us feel his warmth in our fires, his wind at our backs, his heartbeat in the trembling of our enemies. For it is that now, Gajurakash Dranak has learned the secret names of gods that are only known at the end of all things. He has passed through the gateway beyond, to a place that we cannot join, until it opens to us alone. Our sadness is at our parting, be it brief, or be it a longer season. But we will meet again, child of Nilithir. I will offer a prayer to Alazna on Gaju's behalf. If anyone wishes to speak to him or honor his actions and sacrifice before the prayer, please step into the circle to receive your charge. And I put my hand out as if I have something to hand you if you step into the circle.
If no one else does, Dahlia goes.
I tie around your wrist as you approach, like I put my hand up for you. And I tie around your wrist. It's like a woven bracelet that in it is some of Gaji's strands of his hair, like a little braid is braided into a little, and there's a little ring that holds it together, and it's one of the rings from his hair. Speak, beloved.
She fumbles with something in her pocket while also holding onto the sword. She will not let it go. And she fishes out a crumpled note out of her pocket. And kind of haphazardly folds it open and looks down at the lock of hair, the burial that we've prepared, and composes herself after a second and starts to read from the note. I've spent years thinking of the perfect words to share with you, how much I love you. When we're sitting on the deck, watching the night sky, when we're in a tavern, or on a picnic, or even mid-fight. Those moments you'd look over at me and ask why I was staring, assuming I was staring at your abs again. I wasn't. At least not completely. I was thinking of you. Of our story and how I wouldn't change it for the world. From the first mission, where I felt safe next to you, to tea under the cherry blossoms, where I felt comfort next to you, to the nightshade, where I felt love for you, and yes, I remember that, unfortunately. You have always been there, a light of peace for me, a sun when my world is moon and night. Fate has always been at odds with us, but you've never once faltered, never given into it, and because of that, you've taught me, whatever the odds, to never give into. I learned from you, the strongest, most passionate, most stubborn, and I know that when you truly feel love, nothing can ever pull you away. And she looks to the burial. I love you, Gajorakash Dramek, and that love will never falter, and that love will never, and nothing will ever pull it away. With these vows, I promise to carry that strength with us always. We will weather the storm as we always have, together as one, through the joy, hardship, celebration, and tears. I will experience it all with you. Your light is lasting on my heart forever and always. I promise to never dim it. You are my sun, and I am your moon. And no matter where the day takes us, we will always find each other amongst the stars. And she starts to fold the note. Your flower, Dahlia, Avalon. And she starts to put it away. And then it's just very longingly at the burial that was set up.
Zeal kind of take a step forward and stand next to her.
Ren will offer you the same bracelet.
I'll go ahead and take it. Guide you. You were probably one of the first people I actually trusted. one of the first few that I could call a friend. There was really nobody else before that I could talk to, I could practice fighting with, who didn't yell at me for being up at 4:35 in the morning and waking them up because you were already up. I don't know what we're gonna do without you. I am pissed beyond belief at you for leaving us. And I'm angry, and I'm gonna beat you up when I see you next. And I just hope you know that and are prepared, because it's gonna happen. Just know this isn't forever. And I'm gonna reach out and hold Dahlia's hand. We're gonna take care of her until you can come back and take care of her, because you will. But until then, we'll watch over her.
Dahlia gives your hand a comforting squeeze. It's a little shaky.
It's okay, you get a shaky squeeze back.
I look at Dira.
Take a deep breath. And I step up. Ain't nothing or nobody we get to keep forever. And it ain't fair. And that's the world we live in. And that's the world we're fighting for, and that's crazy. You chose your way. It's more than most get. You always chose your way. And I believe you always will. Whatever we decide, whatever we want to do. Right now, we don't know what that is. You trusted us to find it, so we'll have to. This ain't my first goodbye. Don't expect it'll be the last. They don't ever get any easier. That's how we know we're still in the world we belong in. We'll fight for it for you. And I step up on the other side and take Dahlia's other hand.
You get
Ren
the
levels
same shakies.
Ren levels a gaze at Hades. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Sorry. I'll just kind of gaze back and just shakes his head no.
They send you a message and say, it doesn't have to be goodbye, you know. It can be a promise. But you should do this for all of them. It's not just about us. We need to be united.
That was bad timing. He uses telepathy back, and I say, united. You say, where were you the last 2 fucking weeks? And he turns and walks away.
Ren already has the bracelet on, and they look down, and they say loud enough that he can hear while he's walking away. If I could take anything back about the last 2 weeks, it would be leaving Hidayat. Gajurakash, I came to Nilithia to clear your name. I was granted a mission by the Soaring Flame to find out what was happening here, to search out the corruption in Nilithia, and to find out what happened to Jumanaya. I was not allowed to tell any of you, and it is possible you'll never know. I was intercepted and I was not strong enough, and for that I am sorry. But I know the truth now. We all knew the truth. But you never did any of the things that they said. You never deserved to live your life in a cage. And we will not let you live in one now. Not of her making. I put my hand out and invite, like, all of them to do it over the front that are left here.
Family members, crew members come up closer.
Flame incarnate, hear me. Though I am an unworthy child of Ash, hear me. Hear us. We, Dramek, commit your son, Gajurakash, to the fire. Hear us. We, Hiraeth, commit your son, Gajurakash, to the fire. Hear us. We, homeward bound, commit your son, Gajurakash, to the fire. Hear us. Olazna, we, Hiraeth, commit to carry the spark of your chosen. We, Hiraeth, swear to keep the flame of your son, Gajurakash, to the end of his life, to the rebirth of everything after. His oath our oath, his fire light our way. Alazna, the ever-burning, the Lady of Fire, we commit him to be reborn in us forevermore. His memory live eternal. Flame incarnate, bride of fire, thus we pray, bring your chosen home. And I put my fingers on mine, and it lights on fire, and it spreads through all of ours, and the little ring burns into your arm, a permanent symbol. And then I reach down and I tip the brazier over, and the circle around all of us slowly catches, and it runs all the way out. The flame with the accelerant that I've put in there burns out to the pyre and begins to catch it. And I just say, friend, enemy, those 13 are all the same on the other side. We commit their spirits now, north, to the end of all things. For we all may meet again, one day, be it this age or another age. And then I just pour dirt to put the brazier out and let the rest of it burn. And then I start covering the hair.
If there is a moment of silence in there, enough where they don't feel like they're intruding, kind of wipe away some tears. As Gaji's folks come around and they pull something out of a satchel. A few things, actually. They don't see anything, but they pass out a letter for each one of you. I am told that these are in your DMs.
When they come up, because I didn't want to burn Gaju's parents, I hold out to each of them, like, the bracelet that I've made. One, and I still have one in my hand for Hades. I know you said it was the last thing that you had, but now you have this.
You give this to them?
Yeah, I give them each one, and I still have one in my hand for Hades after that.
They put them on. They look at everyone in there, all of you, crew members, team. She starts to speak, but no words come out, as he just puts his arm around her, and Zarmir starts to speak. I'm glad to see that our child has made such a wonderful family outside of ours. To know that even under the stressful times that our country has put on him, that you're all there to comfort him and be with him. Knowing that through whatever trials and tribulations you all went through, you all stuck true as a family really should. If it wasn't for all of you at his side, I wouldn't be back here. I'd be trapped. You all saved every part of this family. You saved our son, you saved me, you saved this family. And if you'll have us, we'd like to join that family with all of you. Stay with you. Our families together. As they both walk up to Dahlia, I could tell how much you meant to her boy. Whether it's official or not, you are part of the family. And I hope that we can call you daughter. As they both kind of surround you and they just kind of hold you. And then they just go silent.
She holds them back. Because it's all she wanted. And it's all she thought she would have. Now it's not. Is Hades gone? Out of sight? She will pull back and turn to Ren and reach out with her empty hand for Hades' bracelet.
To give it.
Has Gaiju's parents given us the letters yet, or are they still holding them?
They gave him their one.
Okay. She will hold out her hand to them and to receive Hades' letter. Because I believe he left before they got him. Or they could give it to him.
Okay.
And
Ren is put this just so you see before you leave the area. They have a stone that they asked Dira to help them move over the top of where they have buried. And it just, it doesn't have, like, a name on it because Ren doesn't want it to be disturbed. But, it's in the Etherean language, it says, beloved friend, like on the top of it. And they just have Dira help them push it down to tamp the earth down. And then they pick up the rest of the flowers that they had there and just like place them all over the top before they walk to go and check on the bodies that are burning and make sure that they're going.
Dahlia waits till the end of the rite and watches Dira and Ren put the stone in place, and if she catches Ren's eyes, she just quietly, very brokenly, just nods in respect and says thank you. And glances at everyone before looking at the stone and the burial spot for a long moment, and then turning to go find Hades. And leaves. Where is he?
I am back in the study.
She'll keep an eye out, just not sure where he's gonna go, but that'll probably be the first place she goes to check. And I believe the ship would be pretty much empty, because I believe everyone on the ship would be there. And she goes, and she doesn't knock this time, she just tries the door.
As you're getting closer, you hear the last remnants of just clatter and banging, and the door is slightly ajar.
As she pushes it open.
I am in the corner, just like on my knees, books everywhere. The entire area is just destroyed. It is disheveled. There's tables flipped, the bookshelves are knocked over, and he just kind of has one of the quills just jabbed into like a book, like a blank page, and he's just sobbing.
She'll take in the room and know that he's struggling. And she'll walk up to him and palm the bracelet and the letter in her hand for now, and just sink down next to him and pull him into a hug just as tight as before.
He does not fight it, and just I'm sorry. I to let you know that I have not. Apollo has always been the one behind the reins. He has been the one that has lived the life and seen things and dealt with hardships. And when those hardships came, that's when I was there. I think you realize that I have never been. I have always been the answer, the band-aid, the bandage. Never had the option to have anything that was mine, that I thought was something I deserved. And we got everybody back, and for the first time in my existence, I had something. I had a family. She believed for once that I deserved a future and a family. And Kaiju was the only thing that's even been closely resemblance of a brother. And I lost him. And you're the only thing that I've had even close to a sister. And he's gone and has been ripped from your heart as well. And I want nothing more than to get that back. To fix your heart. To get back what I lost. That's why I can't say goodbye. It's not goodbye. And it is taking every ounce of my abilities to not leave and find that answer elsewhere. And I don't know what to do. I just want to give up on everything. I don't deserve a life. I don't need one. And he reaches into the bag of holding and pulls the sword out and just throws it across the room. I don't even...
She moves away. And, cups him by the shoulders and moves to where he's locked eyes with her. You are our brother. This is your family. Apollo, yes, but Hades. This is your family. I am your sister, and he is still your brother. And he is not ripped from our hearts. He will always be there. And no matter what happens, if this is forever, or it's not, we are still family. And that will never change. He would not want to see you like this. I don't want to see you like this. We have to help each other. And we have to move forward the best that we can together. And she's gonna take his hand and she'll put the bracelet and the letter in his hand and close his fingers around it. And then she's going to take the flower crown that symbolized family off her head and put it on Hades. This is not the end. It sucks. And it hurts. But he would not want this to be our end.
He'll take the crown off and just kind of put it on the floor. I know. And as the gods as my witness, and you, it won't be. It won't be.
We will figure something out. We will figure out how to move forward. by any means. She kind of gestures with her head towards the books that are everywhere. Necessary. But right now, lean on your family. Because your family also needs you. And she puts her hands over his and gives them a squeeze. And I need you right now, too.
Do that, like, half-assed kind of, smile back. And, I know. I'll be here if you need anything. I should probably straighten this up.
She shakes her head and pulls him to his feet. I will help you clean it up later.
If it's all the same, I need some alone time, and I just take care of it real quick.
Dahlia lets go of his hands, but she doesn't leave. And she starts picking up books with him.
On my way back to the ship, I'm going to stop and next to the pyre where everyone else is. I don't know that I knew the 5 people that we lost very well, and I didn't know any of the others. But I'll just kind of watch that burn for a little bit and think about more lost, whoever they belong to, who might not know where they are. And then when I'm going to go to the ship, I'm going to realize there's a horse hanging out waiting for me. I'm going to look at the horse, look at the ship, and look back at the horse, and going to scratch behind his ears and then dismiss him because we do not need a big fucking horse on the ship when he can be summoned again later. And then I'm going to climb up the crow's nest and take some time to read this letter, which takes me a bit of time.
I'm back to the ship, and I'm gonna take my letter and put it in my desk because I can't mentally read it right now. There's been too much going on, and she's not in a good headspace, so she'll save it for later.
Once everyone has cleared out from the area, Ren will return to Gaju's stone to keep vigil as a monk of the Soaring Flame through the entire day and in meditation. But at some point in the day, while they're sitting out there and they're choosing to fast and they're choosing to wait, and that's like symbolically to make sure that the spirit has left. Although for Ren, it's just sort of a way to be alone as well. And at some point, they pull up their sleeve, like where the bracelet is and the burn mark beneath the ring, and they have 2 more of those, so they're different shape. But it's 2 more burns, one for their sister and one for their father. And reflect on that, having performed this rite twice before. And completely alone those times. And while they're sitting there by themselves, they will just cry. And they put a hand on the stone and they just say, "I'm so sorry. I never should have left. But I didn't know you anymore. 10 years is a long time when it's a day. And I had to find what I was looking for, and I had to find myself. And I had to find my purpose while my order burned around me. There's barely anything left of it now. I shouldn't have taken you dying for me to understand what it is I should have been doing this entire time. And I swear to you, now, that I will never stop protecting them. Even if they won't have me. Even if they never love me. I will never leave them alone. And I will keep them safe at any cost until you return. And hope that it is penance enough for the mistakes that I've made. They'll just fold their legs up and sit and meditate next to it for a while and just reflect and pray. And they probably pray in a non-ritual way for maybe the first time. Like, normally the prayer to Alasna is a ritual. It's a meditative practice, but it isn't fervent. And I think for the first time, Ren is actually praying to Alasna, the person, and not just to maintain the structure of their teachings. And they really do reach for her, not expecting to hear anything back, but I think they really do look.
Anyone else?
Once the room is finished, put back together, and the best it can be, pulling quills out of books and closing them.
It's just the one.
It's just the one. The one quill out of the book. Just.
It was like he was trying to like write it, but it was just like he just jabbed in there and stuff.
Dahlia turns back to Hades and just looks at him expectantly. Did he put his note down in his bracelet, or what did he do with those?
Were you paying attention to him while you guys were cleaning, or no?
Probably. It's really 50-50. Because she needs a distraction. Oh, should we roll dice for it? Rolling dice for it?
Rolling right now. High or low? High or low? High or low?
We only roll life like
no, high or low?
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna roll high.
Okay. So, at one point you saw him take the crown off the ground, the piece of paper. He doesn't read it. He just puts the crown in there with the bracelet and folds it up, and he puts it away into like a little chest.
When does he do that? Because we
like-
need to backpedal a bit.
As he's just like, we'll say towards the end of cleaning everything up, for sake of ease.
Dahlia stops what she's doing and she watches him do that. And she just looks at him, and there's a look of disappointment on her face. She doesn't say anything, but she holds his gaze for a very long time.
He'll just kind of gaze back, eyes kind of just half closed. And for as awkwardly long as it goes, he then just kind of like turns and like adjusts a few more things to make sure that it's back in togetherness.
You see, like, a flash of hurt on her eyes as he folds up the crown she gave him.
Oh no, I don't fold. I'm sorry, I don't fold the crown. I put it on the paper and fold the paper around it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I get what you're saying.
Okay.
She's still. You still see a flash of hurt in her eyes as he folds away the crown she gave him, along with the letter Gaiju gave him, and the bracelet Ren gave him, as he puts it away. He wrote us letters for a reason. For them to be read. And their feelings to be known. Not to be folded away and forgotten about. And she holds his gaze for a long moment before she turns and walks out of the door and out of the room.
Under his breath, it's just, I know, but he can tell me himself when he comes back. I'm gonna go and pick up the sword that I threw across the room and walk out of the study and close the door behind me and head for the crew quarters. And Z, you said you went back to your room? I'm going to just kind of like quietly walk like to my room and know that theirs is right there. And I take the sword and I just lean it against the door and go into my bunk.
I'll eventually go to leave the room, and I'll probably knock it over. And I'll kind of look quizzically at it and pick it up, bring it into the room for now.
If you look closely enough, in Infernal, it says Persephone on it.
I'm just going to kind of start crying again in my little room. Kind of staying there for a little bit longer. Thought I was ready to leave. Nope.
I go back to my boat. And I
Just
hold the...
Press the episode.
So after a chunk of time, working my way through this letter, for sounding out some words, ordinarily I would go to ask Hades this, but I'm a little afraid of him right now. So I actually am going to go up to Arthur, and I'm going to fold it kind of to show just where the PS is, and say, I don't read all that great. I want to make sure I understand what this says. And I show it to Arthur, and the PS says, I believe this means the homeward bound is under your command now, Captain Mullane. Does that... Am I reading this right? I mean, you read pretty well, right, Arthur?
I read relatively good. I mean, kind of like peeks over at it. I read relatively good, Captain.
Oh, hell. Thank you. As you were. Damn it, got you. What have you done? Why'd you have to go and do that? And I'm going to look around at everybody. And for the moment, I'm going to climb back up to the crow's nest and curl up again.
Anything else for the rest of this late night?
Dahlia sits in the boat and kind of goes back to her staring and wears the bead bracelet, holds the sword close, and with the sword holds the folded letter that was written to her from Gajirakosh. And for now doesn't read it. But is working up the nerve to eventually. Over the span of several hours, so anyone else?
Okay. Well,
nobody hears from Ren the rest of the day. They are holding vigil over this spot, and they will stay here until all the flames die, and until it gets dark, and until the day rises again. I'm assuming they're going to proceed to work on repairing the boat and things throughout the day, and Ren will not leave. They will fast and watch for an entire day.
I believe that is a good stopping point then. So, I believe that's enough emotion for one session, so we'll stop it there.
Just a little bit.
Thank you for everybody for watching.
These are the days of our lives.
Yes. Thank you for watching our soap opera. We will have some Star Wars tomorrow, so check in for that. No echoes this week, so we apologize. We'll have one next week. But thank you for joining in, and we apologize for Twitch technical difficulties, but it seems like everything worked out fine in YouTube, so check it out there. That being said, everybody have a fantastic night. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Bye. Bye.